Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a shortcut to being really well informed about one of the world's most iconic landmarks. I mean, a true symbol of human ingenuity, the Eiffel Tower.
That's right.
We've gathered some, well, incredible sources. You've got detailed historical accounts, engineering analyses, even long-forgotten financial records.
Yeah, lots to dig into.
And we want to peel back the layers, uncover not just the facts, but, the surprising stories, the unsung heroes, and definitely the intense controversies around its creation.
It's truly remarkable, isn't it, how this structure, which, many initially viewed as just impossible or, frankly, an eyesore, it ultimately came to stand as such a powerful testament to engineering and audacious vision. We're going to dive way beyond the familiar postcard image to really understand its complexity and its lasting global impact.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission today is to explore that audacious vision behind the tower, the unexpected challenges its builders faced, the brilliant minds, some of them, largely overlooked, who made it possible, and how it just defied every expectation to become this permanent, beloved feature of the Parisian skyline. You're in for some genuinely surprising discoveries, I think.
Definitely.
So, to set the scene, what sparked the idea? Why this colossal structure in the first place?
Well, it all started with the 1889 Exposition Universelle, the World's Fair, in Paris.
Okay.
It was commemorating the 100-year anniversary of the French Revolution.
Ah, okay, the centenary.
Exactly. And the organizers, they wanted a truly monumental entrance, something that would symbolize French independence, yes, but also cutting-edge technological prowess, show off.
Right, make a statement.
But beyond that grand concept, the critical question became, how would something so unconventional, so monumental, actually be received?
Yeah, good question.
Because while millions did flock to marvel at it during and after the fair, a significant chunk of Parisians, well, they regarded this massive iron structure with deep skepticism.
Skepticism is putting it mildly sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah. Some genuinely feared it was structurally unsound, like it would just collapse. Others simply considered it an absolute blight on their beautiful city, an eyesore.
And that public debate was, wow, it was intense. There's that fantastic anecdote, about the novelist Guy de Maupassant.
Oh, yeah, tell that one.
He apparently detested the tower so much
How did it?
that he often ate lunch in the restaurant right at its base.
Liar.
Because it was the only vantage point in Paris from which he could completely avoid glimpsing its looming silhouette.
No way. That's commitment to hating something.
It really illustrates the visceral reaction it provoked, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It wasn't just, a structural debate. It was cultural, a battle, really. And while Gustave Eiffel's name is, well, undeniably synonymous with the tower.
Of course.
And his company, Eiffel et Compagnie, they got the commission, beat out over 100 other plans.
Wow, 100.
Yeah. But the foundational structural concept, the actual form, it didn't actually originate with Eiffel directly.
That's fascinating. Okay, so Eiffel gets the credit, but the spark, the real idea, came from someone else.
Precisely. The true unsung hero here is Maurice Cuquelin, brilliant structural engineer working for Eiffel.
Cuquelin. Oh.
He, along with Emile Noguer, another engineer, they came up with and then meticulously fine-tuned that initial pylon concept.
So they did the heavy lifting on the design?
On the core design, yes.
Yeah.
And interestingly, Eiffel himself, he initially rejected Cuquelin's original, more, let's say, Spartan design.
Really? Why?
He told him to add more ornate flourishes, make it more appealing, aesthetically.
Ah, so it was Cuquelin's raw engineering genius laying the groundwork, even if Eiffel wanted it dressed up a bit.
Exactly. Cuquelin was, an engineer of outstanding ingenuity. He was a student of Carl Kuhlmann, the founder of graphostatics.
Graphostatics? What's that?
It was this revolutionary kind of visual method back then. It let engineers literally draw out and analyze the complex forces within structures using geometry.
So like seeing the stress.
Pretty much. It made it possible to build things that were previously considered impossible, like the tower itself. Cuquelin famously said, the tower's father is Eiffel, but the idea and calculation were made by me.
Wow, claiming his due.
And his impact went beyond the tower, too. He also designed the metallic skeleton for the Statue of Liberty after its chief engineer died.
Yeah.
Another project Eiffel was involved in.
No kidding. So he's behind two icons, sort of?
In a key way, yes.
And we can't forget the architect, Stephen Sylvestre. You mentioned decoration.
Right, Sylvestre. He was brought in to help with the look, the aesthetic. He added elements like those grand arches, the circular structures at the tower's base. He was trying to transform the bare iron framework into what they called a Beaux-Arts object.
Aiming for that grand classical style, even with iron.
Exactly. Highly ornamented. Though actually, many of those more whimsical embellishments like angels and things didn't make it to the final version, probably for cost or practicality.
Okay, so given this audacious vision, the complex design, the truly incredible part for me is how quickly it all came together. What was that construction timeline like?
It's genuinely astounding. I mean, despite its immense scale, the Eiffel Tower was built in a remarkably short time. Just 2 years, 2 months, and 5 days.
That's insane.
It is. Though it's worth noting, the planning phase, from the first ideas in 1884 to getting everything ready for construction, that took about 3 years before the first shovel hit the ground.
Right, so the actual build started in 87.
Yes, official construction work began January 26, 1887. And a key to the speed was prefabrication.
Ah, like a kit.
Exactly. The components were meticulously crafted at Eiffel's factory on the outskirts of Paris, essentially creating this colossal kit around 18,000 individual parts.
18,000 pieces.
Yeah. Then a team of about 300 on-site workers. They finished the foundations in just 5 months. That's fast. The assembly of the actual metal pillars began July 1st, 1887.
Building the upper levels, connecting all those pieces, that must have been painstaking.
Absolutely. It involved connecting over 18,000 pieces of puddle iron.
Puddle iron?
Yeah, it's a type of wrought iron, known for its incredible strength, but also malleability. Perfect for the tower's immense stresses. And get this, 2.5 million rivets.
2.5 million.
Yeah. And imagine this. 4 men were needed for each rivet. 1 to heat it, 1 to hold it, a third to shape it just right, and the last one to hammer it home.
Wow. Teamwork.
Serious teamwork. And they were working on what we'd now consider, well, pretty rudimentary wooden scaffolding, lifting these massive parts with steam-powered cranes that actually climbed with the tower as it went up.
That sounds incredibly dangerous. I mean, the heights, the tools, how did they handle safety?
That's actually one of the most impressive parts. Despite all the inherent dangers working at those heights, Eiffel implemented remarkably strict safety precautions for the time.
Like what?
Things like movable gangways, proper guardrails, safety nets, screens, stuff that wasn't standard then.
Really forward thinking for the 1880s.
Yeah, absolutely. And the result, only 1 person officially died during the construction of the entire Eiffel Tower, which, for a project of that scale in that era, is frankly astonishing.
Truly remarkable, and the pace just kept up.
Well, yeah. The major girders up to the first level were done by December 1887. First floor by April 88, second floor by August 88.
Lining up.
And the top levels were finally completed March 31st, 1889. Just squeaking in time for its unveiling on May 15th, 1889. It was a real race against the clock for the exposition.
Amazing. Now, about that iconic shape, the curve, Eiffel had a specific explanation, right?
He did, publicly at least. He claimed the tower's curved silhouette was determined by a very specific structural principle, based entirely on wind loads.
Wind loads?
Yeah. He argued this principle allowed the legs to naturally channel both the horizontal wind forces and the vertical weight down to the ground. So the legs acted as both bracing and support.
Okay.
And his argument was that this removed the need for any extra heavy cross-bracing.
That was a clever way to frame it, wasn't it? Presenting this really unusual profile as, like, a technical necessity, not just some weird aesthetic choice.
Exactly. Especially given how worried people were about its looks and if it would even stand up that high.
Right. But was that the whole story? Was it really all about wind?
Well, when you dig into the analysis of how the design actually evolved, it gets a bit more nuanced. While that principle was definitely central to Eiffel's pitch back in 1885, and calculations did show, decent adherence to it initially, the final design ultimately deviated from that pure theory.
How so?
Particularly in the top 2/3 of the tower. You see, plenty of cross-bracing was actually used up there. Quite extensively.
Okay, so what's the takeaway then?
It suggests that while the structural principle was a powerful concept and maybe even a great marketing tool,
Yeah, sounds like it.
practicalities like it's just cheaper and easier to build with straight-sided panels, plus other design refinements along the way, led to adjustments. Eiffel himself even later admitted the principle was primarily applied only to the lower half.
So it's this blend of like cool science theory, practical engineering, and maybe a bit of clever PR.
I think that sums it up pretty well. A mix of everything went into that final iconic shape.
It's just so hard to imagine Paris without the Eiffel Tower now, but it was originally meant to be temporary, right? Just for the fair?
Exactly. Just 20 years.
Mm.
Slated to be dismantled and scrapped. Can you believe it?
Crazy. So what saved it?
Well, the truly remarkable thing is that city officials decided to keep it in 1909. They recognized its immense and growing value as a radiotelegraph station.
Ah, technology saved it.
Pretty much. Its importance just ballooned from there.
Yeah.
During World War I, it became absolutely vital. Intercepting enemy radio signals, relaying alerts about Zeppelins, even used to dispatch emergency troop reinforcements by taxi to the front line, the famous taxis of the Marne. It went from being this architectural marvel to a critical military asset.
Wow. And it nearly didn't survive World War II either.
That's right. Escaped destruction a second time. Hitler apparently ordered its demolition, but the command, well, was famously never carried out. The German governor of Paris supposedly couldn't bring himself to do it.
And isn't there a great story from the resistance during the occupation?
Oh yeah, fantastic detail. French resistance fighters very cleverly cut the Eiffel Tower's elevator cables.
So the Nazis.
Exactly. So the Nazis had to climb all those stairs if they wanted to hoist their flag. Over 1,600 steps.
Brilliant. Petty, but brilliant.
Totally. And beyond its military and practical uses, the tower also became this hub for scientific research.
Oh, yeah. Like,
Well, for instance, in 1911, a German physicist, Theodor Wolff, used an electrometer up top. He detected higher levels of radiation than at the base. He was observing the effects of what we now call cosmic rays.
wow, early cosmic ray detection.
Yeah, and Gustave Eiffel himself, actually, after the whole Panama Canal scandal kind of tarnished his reputation.
Right, that was a big deal.
He wisely used his resources and the tower to set up an aerodynamic laboratory right at its base. He later moved it, but conducted experiments there that significantly influenced early aviators. Like the Wright brothers used his data.
No way. So it contributed to flight, too.
Indirectly, yes, through Eiffel's research there.
Just incredible versatility. And today, it's still pulling in the crowds.
Oh, massively. It remains this architectural wonder, a total magnet. Attracts an estimated, 7 million visitors a year?
7 million.
More than any other paid tourist attraction in the world. Got a major facelift back in 1986, and they repaint it meticulously every 7 years to keep it looking sharp.
Takes a lot of paint, I bet.
Tons. And it's inspired over 30 replicas and similar towers around the globe. Its appeal is just universal.
Okay, let's talk money. Because big projects mean big costs and big risks.
Absolutely. The initial cost was pegged at 8 million francs, which, back in 1889, was about 1.5 million US dollars.
Okay, who paid?
Well, the city of Paris put up 1.5 million francs, but Gustave Eiffel himself, he financed a huge chunk of the rest, about 3.155 million francs, out of his own pocket.
Wow, that's a massive personal gamble.
A truly substantial personal investment. Huge risk.
And this leads us straight into this classic human drama, right? Risk versus reward. Because there was immense skepticism about whether this thing would ever pay off.
Oh, absolutely. You had these opposing viewpoints. Like, on one side, maybe a young iron specialist, Philippe Nouvain, just buzzing with excitement about this groundbreaking project.
Yeah, seeing the future.
And on the other, someone like the Comte de Frascanac, reportedly absolutely furious, publicly calling it ugly, predicting it would collapse any minute.
And moaning about his taxes paying for it, I bet.
Exactly. Funding what he saw as this total folly.
The classic NIMBY, but on a grand scale.
Pretty much. The Comte was genuinely convinced it would ruin his perfect view from his nearby palais and just tank his real estate value.
But his son had other ideas.
His son, Henri, took a remarkably different view. He saw the potential, he got the vision, and he invested heavily in the Société de la Tour.
The company set up to finance it.
That's the one. The corporation for the tower's financing. Henri made a huge bet going against his father.
Okay, so the big reveal. How did Henri's bet pay off?
Amazingly well, despite the final cost actually exceeding the initial budget by almost 2.5 times.
Ouch, typical big project.
Right. But the return on investment for the tower itself was achieved in just 1 year.
1 year?
1 year. Mostly from ticket sales during the exposition. So, Henri de Frascanac's investment. It turned out to be one of the most profitable share investments in the entire history of the French stock exchange.
Get out. That's incredible. And what about the Comte's precious view and property value?
Ah, the poetic twist. The value of the Frasquinac family's palais actually increased dramatically.
Yeah.
Why?
Let me guess.
Because it suddenly had a perfect, unimpeded, and highly desirable view of the Eiffel Tower.
Huh. Oh, the irony. That's perfect.
It's such a powerful illustration, isn't it? Reminds me of that quote from Goethe, the German poet. When a well-thought-out plan has been successfully carried out, all effort and discomfort to achieve it will be forgotten.
Absolutely.
The Eiffel Tower isn't just engineering, it's proof. Proof that what's initially dismissed, called an eyesore or a financial disaster, can, with bold vision and solid execution, become incredibly lucrative and enduring. It really challenges our ideas of value.
Definitely gives you pause. And if you were wondering, what it might cost to build something similar today,
Yeah, people ask that.
the estimates are just all over the place. Depends how you calculate it. Maybe around $56 million if you just compare it to similar modern steel towers. Or maybe $200 to $340 million based on trying to scale up labor costs. Or, get this, over $1 billion if you try to calculate its original cost as a percentage of France's GDP back then.
Wow. So basically, very expensive.
Very expensive, however you slice it. So, wrapping this up, our deep dive into the Eiffel Tower, it really reveals a structure that's just so much more than iron and rivets, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's a testament to that audacious vision we talked about, the quiet brilliance of engineers maybe you haven't heard of, like Maurice Coquelin,
Crucial figure.
the incredible efficiency of its construction, and just the surprising ways it defied all its critics.
Yeah.
Not just aesthetically, but financially, scientifically.
It really reminds us that these monumental achievements, they often emerge from this complex mix, right? Scientific principles, sure, but also practical innovation, shrewd business sense.
Yeah.
And just the sheer courage to push for a vision, even when everyone around you is full of skepticism and doubt. It's a powerful lesson in perseverance, really.
So true. So the next time you see a photo of the Eiffel Tower, or maybe you're lucky enough to stand right beneath that magnificent lattice, you'll know the incredible layered story behind its curves, its controversies, and its just enduring legacy. It really is a symbol of how human ingenuity can transform the seemingly impossible.
Into the absolutely iconic.
Exactly.
So maybe we can leave you, the listener, with this thought. What seemingly impossible ideas, maybe in your own life or your work? What ideas might just be waiting for a deeper dive, a fresh perspective, maybe just a touch of that Eiffel Tower daring to transform them into a lasting reality?
Something to think about.